But council again has said not only do we want to do a public information meeting, but we don't even want it on the same night as the public hearing. Legally, we could have done a public information meeting, public hearing, and considered third reading on the same night. You know, even if you were convinced you were doing it, the optics of that are not really good. We want to make sure there is, not only did it appear to be good, it was good. We actually listened. So give people the opportunity for that feedback.
So for all those Cumberlanders who are really fundamentally opposed to the whole vision that Trilogy embodies, what do you have to say to them at this point? Well, it seems like, and I guess Kate Greening is maybe more the most recent spokesperson for that. You know, that the vision itself is fundamentally different than what was brought forward in the OCP. Now, maybe you don't agree with that, but that seems to be the perception of a lot of the people that I'm
Yes, it does.
hearing.
And I don't agree with it, because I think for the most part, let me explain the fundamental change that we made to the OCP. Had we not changed the OCP, Trilogy would have been able to, on commercial land, have all the residential they wanted, the same as we do downtown. They're entitled, as long as it's attached to a business. The fundamental change that was allowed is that they could build the residential separate from the commercial business. It doesn't mean there's more or less residents. There may be, it means positioning is that they can have the stores in one particular area, the retail outlets, and not far away residential buildings. I think it did in fact allow for more residents than they would practically build attached to stores. But that is the real change. It didn't change the fact that we wanted a core commercial base out on the highway that would have had a number of residents, I couldn't guess how many attached, and allowed them to separate them. So the whole vision, it also ended up with, I think, about 50% of that property put aside for environmental issues, for wild game paths, for sensitive areas in general, which isn't a common number for most developments to keep up that amount. I think, notwithstanding some disagree, that we ended up with a fair amenity, if you will, even though now we understand you can't call it an amenity. The legal people have said it has to be framed in a different way and paid as the development goes, because you could be challenged. And people have been, by just saying straight amenities. A new owner takes over and says, I'm not paying it, challenge you in court, and you got a coin flip. If it's put down as the costs effect on Cumberland of having your development, and you pay it as you build different sections, it's legitimate. And I think we did get, compared to other places, is about what would be expected. So I really don't think we went totally against the vision of Cumberland, if you will.
Well, my understanding that was kind of like the residential containment boundary got burst. That was something really fundamental.
But as I repeat, with the commercial zoning, they could have put residential in there. And yes, we have the residential boundary is always subject to change. One of the things we want to do regionally is look at it in a longer term basis. The OCP, as you know, is always subject to change. It's not a zoning law, it's a guideline. And it's made with every intention at the time of what our goal is. But situations change. And to be candid, I mean, I recall going through the OCP process too, and we were very, very proud of it. But when it came to the highway interchange, we did say, well, that would be a good area for commerce. You know what? The discussion or debate never really came up about would we allow, or how much would we allow in the way of residents out there. We hadn't given thought to it. I don't think, frankly, most people considered, including council, how much of a demand there would be to come to Cumberland. You know, or else maybe we would have wrote things differently. Maybe we were a little humble, or whatever. But you know, we were told, if you may recall during that process, that well, Cumberland's too green. You've just shut down any real opportunity for investment. At the same time, we were told by Will Marsh, one of our consultants, that if you set the rules and stick to them, you might find more people come than you think. And certainly that's been the case. And we've attracted some very good things. You know, this Cumberland Green that is in the process is very environmentally friendly and green and fulfilling a need for seniors, not putting any pressure on Cumberland's infrastructure. And the other point is filling that need of, they won't even come close to completing the needs and demands for seniors in Comox Valley. When they look at the numbers, there's probably 55,000 over the next 20 years. So 2,400 doors isn't really going to put a huge dent in that. But that's something we need to look at in the future in sustainability. We can't just look at our current desires today. What's going to be the impact when more people come, when seniors retire here? How do we sustain our economy if we get too seniors heavy, if you will, without having young families working and creating industry and jobs that young people can work at? And with all respect to tourism and service jobs, you need some jobs that are at the high paying end as well to really get a sustainable economy. But you don't want it tied to one pulp mill or whatever. You've seen the impacts on our neighbors with that. We need to have the diversification. We need to have a really good industrial base as well as the tourism, economics, etc. And I think that's what we have to work towards as a valley.